Welcome back, everybody. Today we are back at the barndominium, or we're heading to the barndominium. So hopefully by this weekend we should have the trim finished in the game room. The game room actually completely done, and then hopefully we will have the flooring done, and that'll only leave us the rest of the trim in the house, which really isn't going to be that bad. Which, I mean, literally another weekend for that, and then probably another weekend for the shower, and then that should be it, at least on inside. So let's get to it. All right, all this trim is pre-stained and finished. Well, he's finishing that up, so we get these things, get them going here soon. All right, so all the trim has been pre-stained, and I say pre-stained, we pre-stained it and finished it. This color goes really good with the cabinets. I mean, for what we're doing, it's hard to tell, but it's very, very close finish. So we gotta get these cut for the doors, get all of those cut, and yeah, get it going on this trim. So for cutting this foam, I'm actually using a smooth blade. It does really well on this foam, and it keeps from gouging stuff too, because it's being a smooth blade, I don't want to dig in as bad. So it works really well. Some of you may wonder why there's actually foam around that door. That door leads out to the garage, and we want to keep the house completely separate, insulated from the garage. So here I'm adding marks so I know where our reveal is. So I'm just going through and putting these lines on the casing there so I know exactly where my trim needs to line up at. And keep in mind that I'm not actually nailing at the bottom, only at the top, and you'll see why here in just a bit. All right, so just got back over here, been away for a little bit. But what we're doing here is we've got our base piece that we're gonna be putting here, which if you notice, this is also the top. It's done the exact same way. But we actually have, maybe better to see from the end, there's a notch there. And that notch is for that panel to sit in. So this panel actually sits down in there. Once this gets pushed up against the wall, that's going to sit down in there and hold this panel on, so we don't have any screws showing in this panel. Now we've also have bent these corners, and the reason why is we want to have a nice seamless transition to an extent all the way around until we get to the end there and where the doors are. So we've got two of these bent, ready to go, and these will just go like so. Now we do have to notch down at the bottom where the transition is around. We've got to notch that right there. So we'll get to it. So here I'm actually pulling the trim back. That way this panel can actually slide underneath there. Helps hold it in place. All right, we're back picking up where we left off yesterday. We ended up getting all of this put in. Got that mostly done there. That wall is finished. So now we have to finish this back wall here, this corner. We're gonna finish this here. We're actually stopping this at this edge because we're gonna eventually have a bar sitting over here on this front side. So we're not gonna wrap around the corner. So we're gonna hold that there. But yeah, we should have this done today. We did last night have to stain more trim because we ran a little bit short. So I'll show you what we've got trimmed over here, stained. And we've got to clear it this morning. Put a couple coats of clear on it. But, so here's what we got stained yesterday, which these are the tops of the doors and a couple of the bottom bases that we need, bottom trim. So now we just get some clear on them. So once we find the seam, the stuff is thin enough that you can take and work it down that seam by hand to create the 90s on it. You gotta be careful because the stuff is thin, you can bend the panel. There's other places that you don't want to bend, but just work it through here. Work along this seam, pushing on the bottom and on the top. The bottom you hit in the middle, and the top you go around both sides there. Once you get it so far, you just kind of pinch it around. Like so. get it bent some, it's pretty darn easy to bend it the rest of the way.
Kind of up there.
And there you have that. Now we can put this in.
So this one's at the front now. Let's go behind this. And that slides into the corner.
All right, so we're gonna take a look at these panels because when you overlap them, there's a certain direction, or at least I believe there's a certain direction you're supposed to overlap them. So as you look at these panels, this end here, this little part here is actually bent over a little bit more, and it's kind of a shorter leg than it is over here. This side is actually a little opened up looking, a little flatter. So when you overlap these panels, what you want to do is take that shorter side that has a little bit more bend to it, and you want to make that your overlap side. That's what you want to sit on top. And once you push it up on there, you can see it really disappears to an extent, which is how we've done these wall panels here. And then these don't even have anything holding these seams together here, but that's how tight they get. So the one thing you want to keep in mind is when you come into the room, you really don't want to see the overlaps if you can help it. I mean, in this case, I started these panels at the back and worked my way forward. So as you come down through here, you don't see any of the overlaps. I mean, you try to get them as tight as you can, but for instance, there is a seam here which they're pretty tight, but when you go that direction, and as you're coming in, you don't see them that much. So, one thing to keep in mind. All right, that's pretty much a wrap for the game room. We do still have to paint the doors, do the little touch-up trim work on touching up all the nail holes and touch-up paint. But for the most part, it is done. Floors are done. All the metal panels in. We do have to come back. There's some stickers on here we've got to get off. But as you can see, these corners are bent in there nicely. So there's no seam there. All these corners are bent. Pretty clean look. So we didn't want all the you know, some people put the metal, or excuse me, the wood trim down through there, but Frank wanted to leave it open, which I think it turned out really good like that. Really nice work. So that corner is not finished because we've got a refrigerator going there, so you're not gonna see anything there. And then over here, we still haven't finished this, but this is actually, we're just gonna paint this wall section because at some point, we're gonna come in here and build a bar right in here to sit at with a TV over there. So that'll be done at some point. So we're just gonna paint that because when we get done, we'll probably end up going to pull this bottom trim off here and modifying that just so that the bar blends in very nice to the wall. But that'll be future. The games will probably be in here before that happens. So not much longer, games will be going in.